All right, viewers, let's cut across to this one story that's made big news today, especially where women's rights were concerned. The latest coming in from the court just about a few hours ago was that Priya Ramani, journalist, has been acquitted in the criminal defamation case filed by former Union Minister M.J. Akbar. The court noted that a woman had the right to put her grievances after decades. In its verdict, the Delhi court, in fact, observed that even a man of social status can be a sexual predator. The court held that case of complainant is not proven. The editor turned politician had filed the suit against Ramani on October 15, 2018, for allegedly defaming him by accusing him of sexual misconduct decades ago when he was a journalist. With several other women making similar allegations against him, Akbar resigned as Minister of State for External Affairs in 2018.
Sexual harassment has got the attention it deserves, despite the fact that it was me, the victim, who had to stand up in court as the accused. I thank everyone who stood by me, especially my two witnesses, Ghazala Wahab and Nilofer Venkatraman, who came to court and testified on my behalf. I thank the court for this verdict. I thank my lawyers, Rebecca John and our amazing team, who believed in me and in the wider cause. They put their heart and soul in this case.
All right, so a big verdict coming in by the Delhi court, where the court said today that even after decades, and that is the operative part, which would probably, viewers, be quoted in decades to come whenever there's a sexual harassment case in the country, which has retrospective effect. Because the court today said in its verdict and observed that even after decades, a woman has every right to report her grievance of sexual assault. She could be scared earlier, and it is her right to do so later. And the court then went on to elucidate that even a man of social status can be a sexual predator. Let's listen in to the lawyer of Priya Ramani.
We have with us Rebecca John, lawyer from Ramani's side. Ma'am, what is the court order?
The acquittal was based on the fact that Priya Ramani had pleaded truth as her defense, made in public interest and for public good. The court has accepted her defense and has said that because her defense has been accepted, no case of defamation is made out. The court also went on to say that in the 1990s, when Priya Ramani claimed that she had been sexually harassed by the complainant, there were no mechanisms, legal mechanisms to fight these cases. Priya Ramani's case precedes the Vishaka judgment, and therefore she could not have accessed any of the provisions of the Vishaka guidelines. The court accepted that the Me Too platform was a platform where she could have made these disclosures, and simply because she made it in 2018, it doesn't mean that she was not speaking the truth. It was a very powerful, painful testimony of sexual harassment at the workplace, and I think combined, taking it all together, the court came to the conclusion that the defense was robust and truthful, and therefore acquitted Priya Ramani.
I want to connect right now to my colleague Anisha Mathur, who's joining us with the latest. You know, Anisha, would you read it? Because you've been covering so many verdicts where sexual harassment in this country is concerned, that this was landmark primarily with the observation number 1, when the court said that any woman can record her grievance of sexual harassment even years later. Would you think this will have a huge impact on sexual harassment cases in the country? And second, Anisha, when the court says, and at the back of not just Priya Ramani, but the testimony of Ghazala as well, said that this man is not of stellar character.
Well, yes, Preeti, this is going to be a landmark judgment as far as the Me Too movement and the women's fight with regard to having a safe workspace is concerned. The court, as you just pointed out, 2 instances that the court has taken on record the testimony that has been given by the Priya Ramani as well as her witnesses, and the argument that was placed by her lawyers that her defense is of the truth, that she was telling the truth about what had happened to her, and that there were various other women also who were mentioned in the article as well, and who had also mentioned the name of this person in question, and that he had selectively chosen Priya Ramani to file a defamation case. What is also very important is the observations made by the judge when it comes to deciding the case itself. He had said, and I'm quoting here, that the attack on the character of a sexual abuser or harasser by the victim is a reaction of self-defense after the mental trauma suffered by the victim regarding the shame attached with the crime committed against her. That right to reputation is not above or cannot be protected at the cost of right to life and dignity. And we need to incentivize more women to join the workspace by giving safe work environments. So all of these observations put together make it a landmark judgment, not only for Priya Ramani and the other women who were associated with her, but for every woman in the country.
Appreciate you joining us. We're going to continue to come back to you, Anisha, for more updates. So a landmark judgment there, especially if you read it in context of the Me Too movement. All right, I want to quickly shift focus to West Bengal. On the very latest, a new entrant coming in to West Bengal's political battleground, and that is Furfura Sharif. Abbas Siddiqui, the head of a newly floated Indian Secular Front, has decided to contest the Bengal polls. The Furfura Sharif cleric is planning to contest 70 to 80 seats in the state. All of this comes as Bengal Congress chief Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary claimed that secular parties like Siddiqui's ISF had expressed interest in joining the Congress Left Alliance. Remember, AIMIM chief Asauddin Siddiqui had met this cleric last month, fueling speculations of an alliance.
আজকে বর্তমান যে রাজ্য সরকার আছে তিনি যখন আস্থা দিয়েছিলেন আমাদেরকে এই করে দেবো আমরা তো তেনাকেও পছন্দ করেছিলাম যখন দেখলাম কাজগুলো কমপ্লিট হয়নি আমার দেখা মতে হয়নি আমি তো বলেছিলাম যে আপনি 44 দিন আপনার সঙ্গে যাব কিন্তু আস্তে আস্তে যখন দেখলাম তিনিই বিজেপিকে আস্তে আস্তে বাংলায় জায়গা করে দিচ্ছে এবার বিজেপির সাথে তো আমাদের সর্বসময় আগাপিছু একটা জানেন তারা যে দেশের ক্ষতি করে চলেছে বর্তমান যে বিজেপি যে গভর্নমেন্ট রয়েছে তো সেই জায়গায় তাকে তো কখনো আমরা অ্যাকসেপ্ট করতে পারি না তার সাপোর্ট যারা করবে তাকেও তো মানতে পারি না এই জায়গায় দাঁড়িয়ে থেকে আমাদের লক্ষ্য বাকি যারা আছে তারা যদি একটা জায়গায় হয় কমসে কম নিজেদের মধ্যে ভোট ভাগ হবে না এতে আমাদের জিতার সুবিধাটা আরও 100% ভালো হবে
All right, let's quickly move on. The politics over the Ram Mandir issue refuses to die down even after the verdict. The latest is over the donation drive. Two former chief ministers of Karnataka have jumped in with different points of views. One making a very sinister charge, H.D. Kumaraswamy, who says that people who are not giving donation or chanda to this donation drive are being singled out.
It's been over a year since the Supreme Court's historic verdict on the Ayodhya dispute, and if you thought it spelled the end of the ugly Ram Mandir politics, think again. The Chanda drive to fund a grand Ram Mandir has triggered a political showdown this time. Former Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy has made a startling claim. He says he was threatened to donate money for the temple.
Some 3 persons, they came to my house. One lady in that. They threatened me. Why you are not giving the money? Please hand over the money. This is Rama's temple is our country's prime issue. Why you are not donating the money?
While H.D. Kumaraswamy hasn't put out any proof to back his claim, it's not the first time he has targeted the RSS over the donation drive. Here's what the JDS leader said a day back, when he drew a Sangh-Nazi parallel.
ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ಕಟ್ಟಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮನೆ ಹಣ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇದ್ದಂಥವ್ರ ಮನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕೊಟ್ಟವ್ರ ಮನೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಇದು ಬೇರೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ನನಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಹೇಳೋರು RSS ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಾಜಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹುಟ್ಟಿತು ಜರ್ಮನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ
It's not just Kumaraswamy. His former ally, senior Congress leader Siddaramaiah, has said that the Mandir construction is being done at a disputed site.
ನಾನು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ಕಟ್ಟದೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೆ ಸರಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡೋಣ ದುಡ್ಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಡ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರಕ್ಕೆ
And the TMC hasn't held back either, with MP Mahua Moitra declaring she's an Andolan GV, not a Chanda GV. The BJP has lashed out at the opposition, accusing them of mocking Ram Bhakts.
A few Karyakartas of the RSS and VHP are going to threaten you into contributing? Please, sir, please stop spreading lies.
So the Congress leaders or the JDS leaders who have commented on this, they should clearly lay down their stand on Sri Ram. Okay. If one is building a temple, nobody builds a temple on his own.
For decades, we have seen this political bickering, and it is clear today that the mega crowdfunding exercise has only reignited as a medium for the political rhetoric. The emotions of countless Ram Bhakts is again being used as political fodder by parties. Nagarjun Dwarkanath for India Today.
All right, let's shift focus. For the 9th consecutive day, there has been a rise in fuel prices. 9th consecutive day, viewers, where in certain cities in India, petrol has breached the 100 rupee per litre mark.
Fuel prices continue to skyrocket, touching record heights across the country. Regular petrol breached the 3-figure mark for the first time after a hike of Rs 26 paise took the price in Rajasthan's Sriganganagar to 100.13 for a litre. In Delhi, the cost of petrol is just short of Rs 90 a litre, while in Mumbai, it has reached Rs 96 for the first time ever. Petrol is selling at above Rs 90 in many cities, including Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru, Bhubaneswar, Hyderabad, Jaipur, Patna and Thiruvananthapuram.
पब्लिक को बहुत परेशानी हो रही है. इससे ज़्यादा और पब्लिक क्या करेगी? ये तो रोज पैसे बढ़ाते जाते हैं वेट कम करके. सबसे महंगा पेट्रोल राजस्थान के अंदर है, अशोक गहलोत की सरकार के अंदर.
हमारी इनकम तो कम है, हाँ इनकम कम है, लेकिन पेट्रोल बढ़ते जा रहा, महंगाई भी बढ़ते जा रही. क्या करेंगे इसके लिए अपन? सरकार तो ना भूखा मर रही है, अपन साधारण इंसान मिडिल क्लास वाले भूखे मर रहे. मेन बात ये, बाकी कुछ नहीं है.
इतना बढ़ जाएगा पेट्रोल, कुछ दिन में तो 100 हो जाएगा. गाड़ी छोड़ के बस से आना जाना करना पड़ेगा. फिर
महंगाई बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है. पिछला टाइम में जो 100 रुपया में 1.5 लीटर आ जाता है, अभी 100 रुपया में 1 लीटर पॉइंट समथिंग आ रहा है. तो बहुत जो कॉमन मैन के लिए बहुत तकलीफ होता है पेट्रोल का रेट.
Diesel rates have also seen a sharp rise over the past 9 days. It has almost touched Rs 80 per litre in capital Delhi. In most other parts of the country, diesel prices have crossed Rs 80 per litre. In Kolkata, the price of diesel now stands at Rs 83.54 per litre, while it is Rs 87 in Mumbai. It crossed Rs 85 in Chennai for the first time ever.
मामले अच्छी आक्रोश है और एक प्रॉब्लम है और सभी डीलर्स की ये डिमांड है और सभी डीलर चाहते हैं कि दाम कम हो.
The unending increase has given fuel to the opposition parties. The Congress attacked the Modi government, terming the spiraling prices of petrol and diesel as a fuel loot. On Wednesday, launching an oil and gas project for Tamil Nadu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi blamed previous governments for not reducing India's fuel import dependence.
I want to say, had we focused on these subjects much earlier, our middle class would not be burdened. Now, it is our collective duty to work towards clean and green source of energy.
The reason behind the increase in fuel prices is attributed to the increase in global crude oil rates. But the rise in prices at a time when pandemic has eroded people's incomes has come as a big blow to common people. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, viewers, let's now decode it on what is actually costing you so much. Why is fuel so expensive? And once we just give you the breakup of that, you'll be able to understand and get in a larger understanding of the fact that most of it, viewers, is taxes. Base price of petrol, 31.82. Freight, 0.28. Price charge to the dealer is 32.10. But why are you paying 100? Let's take you through it. The excise duty, viewers, is 32.90. Even more expensive than the base price of the fuel. The dealer commission is 3.68. VAT again is 20.61. And the retail price comes to 89.29. This is in Delhi, viewers, right now. So if you can see, because of excise and VAT, those two big components of taxes, you are ending up paying 89.29. Excise duty is accrued to the centre, while VAT, viewers, is accrued to the state. So this is the breakup of your fuel. With that, I want to go into a quick break. When I return on the other side, you're going to get your fact check segment. Welcome back. You're watching a fact check segment where we bust certain claims masquerading to be facts on social media platforms and WhatsApp groups. There's an image that's floating about suggesting that Bajrang Dal members were protesting against the farm laws in Western UP. Wrong. These are not Bajrang Dal members. They're actually Shiv Sena cadre. A huge difference there. With that quick fact check, it's time for us to slip into a quick break, but to stay with me on the other side is to the point. Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.